Hello, Internet. Thanks for stopping by to watch me today. What I've got, sorry, I'm loading this water sprayer on my back, but what I've got today is a little tutorial on how to remove this popcorn ceiling a little bit more easily than what you may be doing right now. And I figure if you're watching this video, it's probably because you'd like an easier way to do this, what you might be doing. What I've got here is a backpack sprayer. You can use any kind of pump up sprayer. Got a backpack sprayer with warm water. You don't need to add soap or anything to it, but you're not going to cause any damage to your drywall no matter how much you soak this on just a real short-term basis. Now if you leave this thing submerged in water for the next week and a half, you might grow some signs of mold. But right now we're just wetting an area, and you want this to be pretty wet so this popcorn will release from the ceiling. This will not work the same method if your popcorn texture has been painted over or primed significantly. You won't be able to get this to soak into it, especially if it's a high gloss paint. Now, you may still get to soak in a little bit, but you're going to have to spray a lot more water and you're going to have a lot more drip back off. And I don't know if you can tell, but absolutely no water is dripping off the ceiling. There's some little bits of water coming down in the air from my spraying, but nothing is dripping back off the ceiling. It's just soaking right in here. I've already soaked this once earlier, stepped away from it, but it's pretty well soaked from what I did earlier today. So I'm just showing you all how I do this, and then I'm going to do a little bit of scraping. So definitely get some kind of a water sprayer. Don't use the same sprayer that you've been using outside with the pesticides or any kind of chemicals. Get yourself a brand new fresh sprayer. You can buy these things from most of the home improvement stores for less than $20. I think this one I paid a lot more. If you want a good one, you're going to have to pay more for it. This one was about $100. Actually, I know it was $100. Close to it. I'm probably doing some of this off camera, but I want to get this whole area scraped in a minute. So you're going to want to spray this down with warm water and let it sit for usually about 10 or 15 minutes is plenty long enough. And I really do mean soak. You want this to be almost to the level where it's dripping off the ceiling, because you do want this to soak all the way through. And it does two things. It helps it to come loose from the ceiling when you go to scrape it, but it also helps it to come loose from the ceiling without all the dust that you may be experiencing right now if you're not spraying it. So get this stuff sprayed down real well. Cover anything that's sensitive to the water. If you've got unfinished wood in the house, you might want to cover it just so you're not soaking it and ruining it. But for the most part, this isn't going to hurt finished floors or cabinets or paint or anything. It'll just make popcorn less of a nightmare. I know some of y'all are cringing that I'm spraying this stuff all over my garage shop without covering or moving any of my tools. I'm trying to show y'all how to do this. It's pretty easy. You got the right tool. Okay, I think that's about enough water on it. A little bit more over here. And I'd be wearing a mask, even though you've got this pretty well soaked. There will still be some amount of dust that's going to come off of this, but it's not going to be very significant. And I do recommend wearing safety equipment anytime you're working around dust, especially if it's got fiberglass in it or any chance of having asbestos in it. Older homes, they did use some asbestos in sheetrock applications. I'm not sure if they used it in the texture, but I believe some properties do have it actually in the texture finishes. See if I got a bunch of water on the lens. It still looks pretty good. Okay, let's do a little scraping. You want to get yourself one of these baggers. You can buy these at Lowe's or Home Depot. I'm sure you can get one on Amazon. And it's going to be kind of hard to show you this. They don't usually come with a bag, but that's the Homex or Homax is the brand of this scraper. And I did a little bit of adjustment to it. I rounded these corners over a little bit because they were just razor 90-degree sharp, and I was digging into the ceiling a lot. As soon as I rounded these corners, a whole lot less digging into the ceiling. I just took a piece of sandpaper, rounded them over. This thing has a steel ring underneath the bag here, whole way around, that you can wrap your standard shopping bag on and fill this thing up, dump it outside in the trash can. Keep filling. Okay, here we go. This one you can attach to the end of a broom handle, but that is just how easy it is right there. Once this stuff is good and soaked, I can tell you from where I am, I don't see any dust at all coming off. This sure beats the heck out of trying to do this if you're trying to do it right now dry, which a lot of people do, try to scrape this stuff down dry. For one, you're just not going to be able to get it all off the ceiling. A lot of it's going to be too well stuck on there. Now where this method kind of fails is if you've got a painted ceiling, that's just going to be a beast. And there are some things you can do to make it a little easier. You could take a sander, a little random orbit sander, with some real abrasive heavy grit sandpaper, and hook up a dust collector to it. It'll still tear some small spots. I soaked this earlier. I just wanted to come back and show you all how this is done. But anyway, with the random orbit sander, you can come in if your ceiling has been painted, and you can knock the tops off of these acoustic ceilings, the texture. Just knock the tops off it where you can get water to soak in it, and then spray it. But you're going to have to spray a lot more if your ceiling has been painted. You're going to have to do a lot more prep work. I still think it's worth it to take it down this way. I don't know of a better way to do this. I do actually have one of these attachments here that has a vacuum port underneath it and does a little bit better job collecting the dust, but it's just a pain to carry that 2-inch vacuum hose around and constantly moving it and tripping over it while you're looking at the ceiling. Okay, so change the angle here a little bit. That's a little better. But that's how it's done. If you hire a contractor to come out to your house and they try to do anything different than this, your house is going to be so covered in drywall dust, you'll never get it out of your cabinets. Never get it out of the gaps in your floor. They need to be spraying your ceiling at the least. A lot of the contractors around here do this with little bitty hand scrapers. It is a mess. Get a little bit of drywall there in my tools. As you can see, it does not take very long to do this job. I would not recommend paying your contractor thousands of dollars to do this work if you've got the time to do it yourself. And if I'm doing this for a customer, I am a contractor after all. If I'm doing this for a customer, I still cover the floors and cover the cabinets and but there's no significant dust in the air that's going to migrate and make its way into your cabinets with this method. You just want to make sure you've got it real good and wet. That's actually a little too dry over there. That's why I sprayed it twice. I could still use some more water. But I don't see any dust floating around in the air right now. That's a good sign. And that bag is getting heavy, so that's a good sign. The bag is getting quite heavy, especially on the end of that 6-foot pole or so. There we go. Now, one thing you're going to give up if you're like me, this little garage is my at-home workshop, and something that you do lose when you get rid of your acoustic ceilings is that's not good at all. You lose a lot of the sound absorption when you get rid of this stuff, so you may want to replace it with sound deadening panels throughout your shop. Cup full of drywall coffee at this point. So this acoustic ceiling does a lot to break up sound waves and reduce
reduce the echoes. So when you take this stuff down in a home or in a small shop like what I've got here, you are going to hear quite a bit more echo, and the sounds will seem a bit louder because there's nothing on your ceiling to absorb them and keep them from bouncing right back down at you. Those nails are popping through. But I would say save yourself the money, buy a couple of cheap tools, make this a weekend job. If you're a contractor watching this video, which I hope there's at least a couple watching it, be decent. Do a good job for your customers. Don't leave them with dust through their entire house when you walk away. Earn your money. Okay. Well, there we go. That was a little longer than I expected to be. That bag is pretty much full now. Probably got, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 pounds of drywall in it. And did what I need to do. My dust collector's going right there. So, or not my dust collector, my air filter system for the garage here. Thanks for tuning in. If this video was at all helpful to you, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you again on another video. Easy little job to do here. And it gets pretty clean. And you're gonna have some touch up right there like you would anyway, but a lot less dust.